welcome everybody to my Substack Live this morning entitled Getting Rid of the Dirt. And I must say, I have been, I suppose you could say, exposed to quite a lot of dirt this last week as I have been up on Camino Island, where it rained most of the time I was there and everything got very muddy. But that's not really what I'm going to talk about. I had a wonderful time up on Camino Island, was able to stay at a cottage owned by one of the people involved in the staff of Circlewood, and walked into this beautiful welcome package that they'd put together for me, a contribution from each member of the staff. There was berry jam made from a variety of berries on the land. In the past, they used to make blackberry jam, but they have pretty much now gotten rid of all the invasive Himalaya blackberries on the land, which means they've got to look for something else. And the alternative is mixed berry jam that Louise Connor made. And I can tell you it was delicious. So I am looking forward to seeing more of her creations in the future. I always feel so refreshed after I've been up on Camino. It's a special place for me, and particularly the land that is now Circlewood. I think it's a thin place. I think that those 25 years of Celtic retreats that Tom and I organized really planted something in a way that has made it into a very special place where you sense the coming together of heaven and earth. And I'm delighted to know that it is probable that in conjunction with the National Wildlife Trust on Camino, that they might be able to have several other acres, if not even more, kept as a wildlife corridor as well, adjacent to the land. And that's just wonderful to hear. Um, The one thing I came back with that I wish I hadn't come back with is I think that I have caught a cold. So please forgive me if I'm sniffling a bit and coughing a bit. But there is quite a lot that I want to share with this morning. One of the things that was in the package was this packet here, the Sacred Biodiversity Oracle by Angela Mano. And it consists of a little book here and a series of cards from very similar to iconography. And this is the first of the cards, which is the Florida panther. And these are all cards of endangered species. And in the little book, there is an explanation of that and an introduction for many people to the art of Visio Divina, reflecting on these species that are going extinct. Excuse me. Angela starts her book with these words: "The current biodiversity crisis is nothing less than a holocaust of nature. According to the Center for Biological Diversity, more than 8,000 species are going extinct every year. That's 22 species per day, about one species every hour, 1,000 times the natural rate. Conservation biologist E.O. Wilson estimates that if this current trend continues, half of Earth's animals and plant species will be extinct by the end of the century." I was just absolutely and utterly stunned by that, as you can imagine. And then as I started looking through these cards, it was the first card, the one that I've already shown you, the Florida panther, that caught my attention. And I sat here, or not here actually, up on Camino, looking at this card. And it was the eyes. that really spoke to me. It was like these eyes pierced into my heart and said, "What on earth are you doing?" Literally, what on earth are you doing? There's a sadness there. And part of that sadness is because there are only 100 Florida panthers left in the wild. 100. And you think, is this going to be another one of the creatures, the beautiful creatures of our world that goes extinct this year? Partly because of our indifference, partly because for some Christians there's that whole sense of, well, it doesn't matter because God's going to destroy it all anyway. And partly because many of us, of course, are overwhelmed by what we might be able to do, if anything, to make a difference. These are beautiful cards, and I really do highly recommend trying to get hold of this and to consider some of the places in this world where there are species, wonderful species. The second one is the Sumatra orangutan, another gorgeous animal that I have seen quite a bit of information about and have watched films about and have just loved hearing about as well. And it's such a grieving thing to read about these things and to know, the feeling, of course, is, well, what on earth can we do? What this made me think of during my uh, amazing cleanup that's gone on this last week, I came across some treasures. And one of those treasures, and hopefully you can see it properly here, is this world globe here. It's sat on a desk in our guest room, probably pretty much since Tom and I were married, which is 35 years ago. I love it, but I've never taken much notice of it because, as you can see, it looked pretty dim and dingy. I'm sorry, I managed to dismantle this from its precarious little perch, and I'm trying to get it back. There we are. Okay, and you can see that globe now, I hope. At least part of it. But what I realized as this globe came out into the light is that the dinginess of this globe is not the way that it was created to be. Personally, I discovered that this globe is actually a light. Ta-da! And believe it or not, all 35 years that I have lived with this light, I had never noticed that it was actually a light. Secondly, what I hadn't realized was that the dinginess is not the way that it was created. And if I start to scratch away the layer, which is probably created by somebody that was a chain smoker, I can see a beautiful pattern of a world globe underneath. Now, have to be very, very careful. And it's obviously going to be a very time-consuming exercise. And I suspect that it will never look quite the way that it looked when it was created in 1920 or thereabouts. But as I looked at it, I've been reflecting on the scripture, John 3:16 as well, which says, God so loved the world, not God so loved humankind, but God so loved the world that he gave his only son. And I'm thinking about this, and it's a very appropriate theme to think about during the season of Lent, and particularly as we're getting very close to Holy Week, that God cares for this whole wonderful creation. God cares for this whole place that God has created. And there's the murkiness that is now covering our globe in so many ways. There is the murkiness of pollution. There is the murkiness, of course, of deforestation, the murkiness sometimes of deliberate killing of animals as well as of people. There is the murkiness of violence in every dimension. And these things make our globe look like this one does. And to get rid of that murkiness, to get rid of that dirt is going to be a very slow process. But it's a process that if we work together on, if each one takes the little tiny bit that they feel they are able to do, then we really can make a difference. Just as I'm going to recruit some helpers with this, because otherwise I will probably be working on it for the rest of my life. But I'd love to see what it can look like, at least in the beauty that's possible. And as I work on it, I think, is the earth the same as this? Is the beauty that has been hidden for so long? Is it possible that we can get rid of the pollution and the crud that has covered it and make it into the kind of place that God intends it to be, the kind of place where God feels comfortable coming down and being a part of humankind once more. Um, my challenge to you today is to think about doing the same kind of thing that I've done and taking some time to meditate on John 3:16. Think about all the things that you've heard about, the devastation you've heard about in the last few weeks, the highest temperatures ever recorded in March in Arizona, floods like we've never seen them before in several parts of the world. And I know that the doomsayers and the left behind people say, oh, this is the way it's meant to be. But my impression is that is not true. God's desire is to see all things made whole, to see all things renewed and refreshed, and to see us all rejoicing together in joy. So reflect on John 3:16 and think about, for love of the world, what are you willing to do? And what could God ask you to do? Not just during the season of Lent, but for maybe for the rest of your life to help to get rid of some of the pollution that there is clinging so strongly to our world at the moment, just as this pollution here clings to this globe. And if you live in Seattle and you'd like to come and help me, uh, obviously, I need help in getting the crud off this globe, just as all of us need help in getting the pollution, the violence, and all of these things out of our world as well. So thank you for listening. I hope that this reflection is something that you have enjoyed. And please let me know what kinds of things you would like me to reflect on during this Saturday morning live, as it's just a spontaneous kind of reflection that I put together. And I hope that you will contribute and leave your comments as well. Thank you.